Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin. I'm here with James Haskell. In this episode, we're going to break down the AFC North by position and rank them 1 through 4. So I believe just in this one, we're just doing the quarterbacks. Is that right?
That's right. So this is really cool. It's going to be a series behind each position group in the AFC North. And we're going to, like Glenn said, we're going to rank them from best to worst based on position group inside our division, the most important division in the NFL.
That's right. The scariest, the most brutal. And we're not just talking about the number one quarterback. We're ranking the room itself. So we're talking second, and if they carry a third string as well. So, yeah. All right. Well, let's get into it. Do you want to start with number 4 and work our way to 1?
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay. So, of course, we're talking Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers, and your Baltimore Ravens. So, number 4, who do you have at number 4 in the division as far as quarterbacks?
You know, I think that normally you would have thought that I'm going to put Baker Mayfield here and the Cleveland Browns, but I'm actually not. Part of that is because the calculation is the room, right? The entire quarterback room. So right now, only based on lack of experience, we really don't know what Joe Burrow is going to be yet. I'm going to do the Cincinnati Bengals because, look, if this kid flames out, they're going to Ryan Finley. Like, Ryan Finley. We intercepted him.
We saw that.
How many times did we intercept him last year?
I don't know, but he stinks out loud. So
yeah, so to me, they have the worst quarterback room in the division, and I don't think it's super close because we don't know what their upside is, and their floor obviously is as low as Ryan Finley is. So
and I have high hopes for Joe Burrow. I mean, I loved him in college. He had maybe the greatest college season I've ever seen as a quarterback, just as far as his, not just his numbers, but who he had to beat along the way, and every test that was put in front of him, he aced it. And so, yeah, I think that he's going to end up being a good quarterback. But for this list, for these, preseason, before he's ever taken a snap, I think they got to be number 4, no doubt.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then give us your number 3, Glenn. Who you got?
Yeah, so for number 3, I think this is quarterback's probably the easiest to rank in my opinion. I think you got to go with the Cleveland Browns here. Baker had that awesome rookie year and then really disappointed last season, despite the fact that he had quite a few weapons around him and the skill position players were phenomenal. But this year I look for him to make a big jump because it looked like the organization said, look, we're going to surround him with so much talent that this is basically a make or break year. If he can't do it with this group around him, then I don't know if he ever can. And then we talk about his backup being Case Keenum, one of the better backups in the league, a guy that can really show Baker what it is to be a pro, and a guy that if you needed to could come in and sustain your team for a few weeks and maybe win half of his games. And certainly with this team around him, maybe even do better than that. So I think that when you just look at that 1-2 punch of Baker and Case Keenum, they got to be number 3 in my book. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you, but actually, and this is very interesting because you know that I hate Baker Mayfield. Like I hate using the word hate, but like I find no favor in my heart towards Baker Mayfield. Like I don't know any other way to put that. It's really hard for me. But I'll tell you what, Case Keenum was a great pickup because 10 games in, Mr. Case Keenum's coming in as starting quarterback.
From injury?
No.
Oh, stop it.
I already said this. It's gonna
performance?
Baker's getting benched, dude. Week 10, and Stefanski's going to get nervous. Anyway, but this is the thing that I'll say is that smart pickup, and this is hard for me because I almost wanted to put the Steelers at number 3, and I know that sounds blasphemous because they have a Hall of Famer, but they have a Hall of Famer who's probably around 400 pounds right now, who looks a little bit like Santa Claus, and is coming off a serious elbow injury, and the best thing that he can do is put out a 30-second hype video of him throwing a pass to Juju Smith-Schuster. And the problem is, you said this before, their pipeline, as far as quarterback goes, is empty. Their cupboards are bare. Right, so not only do they have a lot of financial resources wrapped up in Ben, who's coming off a serious elbow injury and is 38 years old, but also Mason Rudolph is a dumpster fire. He's terrible. So while this was a tricky one for me, third and second, the upside of Ben being a Hall of Fame quarterback, made it so I put Cleveland at 3. So Cleveland is my third, yeah. And then we have the same, obviously, for the second, Pittsburgh Steelers, as I mentioned.
Do we?
Huh? Well, really?
No, I'm just kidding. No, I agree with you. I think I have the Steelers at 2, and to me it was kind of tough to decide between 2 and 3, but I went with the Steelers at 2 because of the possibility that Big Ben is anything like the old Big Ben, and then it's a no-brainer. But yeah, I mean, they're both, him and Mason are coming off of injuries. I don't think anyone believes in Duck Hodges. So to me, as a Ravens fan, it's pretty nice to see this quarterback room, because I go, who's the guy for the future? Big Ben's not getting any younger. Now, I think you were a little unfair about 400 pounds, okay? Because I saw that video. He shaved his face. He wasn't going to do so until he could really throw a ball, not just throw a ball, but really throw a ball to his standards. And I'll be honest, he looked like he lost a few lbs, okay? He because you could see it you could see a jawline. And if you're up to 300, you ain't seeing no jawline, okay? You're going to see a second chin.
You're being generous. You're being generous with a jawline.
He had a jawline in that video. When he was on the private plane, I think it was. I mean, look, he's 38 years old. He's coming off an elbow injury that was just from wear and tear. It looked like. I don't think it was an injury where he got hit or anything. It was just he just threw his elbow out. But if that is repaired, and if he's able to build the strength in that arm again, I mean, he's a dangerous player. He's the kind of player that can put up, 4,000 or 5,000 yards season, no doubt. Now the question is his targets up to par with what he's used to, without having Antonio Brown around and all that stuff. But we'll wait to see about that. But I think Big Ben, if he's healthy, is still a heck of a good player and a guy that you'd want leading your team.
Yeah, except for me.
Maybe not you.
So
who's number 1, Jimbo?
Let's see. Well, it's got to be the Baltimore Ravens, of course, obviously, our Baltimore Ravens. Not only do we have the reigning MVP at quarterback, who's only, 23 years old?
Yeah.
First full year starting, lit the league on fire. I don't think he'll do anything different next year, barring health. As in, I don't think he'll get, he'll slump. I think he's only going to get better. I think his best football is ahead of him, as insane as that sounds. I think anybody who's watching him closely knows he still has a lot of room to grow, which is impressive based on the fact that he's the unanimous MVP, only second time in NFL history. So, but not only that, you talked about grading the room. I think that we've done a good job building around Lamar. You think about RG3 and the fact that he's similar to Case Keenum in the way that he's serviceable if he needs to come in and keep consistency in the offense, run the same schemes, do the same type of things. It's not like going from Joe Flacco to Lamar Jackson, right? It's not night and day.
Right.
So I think that that's important. I also think that not McSorley, but Huntley is gonna have a role as far as potentially a backup goes. But it's nice to know that we have depth there where we can keep the offense consistent. And then also RG3, I think, could be the quarterback that takes the most pride in practice and preparing his defense for that upcoming week's offense. And he talks a lot about that, takes a lot of pride in that. So I think for sure our quarterback room is easily the best in the AFC North. How insane is it that how many people would have said that going into the season last year before we played a snap of football?
Oh yeah, no, nobody would have.
We would have been ranked. We would have been ranked third, maybe fourth, right?
Well, last year we would have probably been third. I mean, I don't know, maybe fourth. It depends on how much you like Andy Dalton.
Right. I bet you a lot of people would have put Andy in front of Lamar before the season started last year.
Yeah, man, that would have been a big mistake because, I mean, yeah. You know what I want to say? I was watching yesterday some highlights of Lamar on YouTube, and man, let me tell you, if you haven't seen him in a while, because I know it's been a little while, just pull up YouTube and pull up Lamar's highlight reel, and make sure it's one that's not just 2 minutes long. Make sure it should, because I cannot wait for this season, Jimmy. I mean, it's like it's been a few months, so I'd forgotten the greatness that is Lamar Jackson. But I put it on, and man, like that run against Houston, he should have been sacked like 3 times, and he somehow not only gets out of it, but turns it into a 40-yard run. It just doesn't. There's so many plays where he should have been sacked. There's just no doubt about it. He should have been sacked, and he turns it into a 12-yard first down. It's just the guy's incredible, and then the throwing. I mean, gosh, he's just so good. And yeah, you mentioned the pride that Robert Griffin takes in being that second quarterback, being that scout team guy who tries everything he can to mimic and imitate the opposing quarterback upcoming, and that helps. I mean, that there's no doubt that helps the defense prepare for the upcoming game. And yeah, I mean, if you have Lamar, you're up there. This is a quarterback room that's up there with the high, the best in the league. I think they're top 3 in the league. I mean, when you look at what the Saints were able to put together in their quarterback room, I think that's number 1 with Taysom Hill, Drew Brees, and now they added Jameis Winston. I don't think there's any doubt that's number 1 room, but this is up there as far as in the league, and certainly number 1 in the AFC North.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I'm excited as we continue to work through these position groups. Of course, really excited about our quarterback room. So make sure you guys let us know what you think. Is our ranking correct? Do you think that the Cleveland Browns should be in front of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Glenn and I both mentioned that was something that was a little bit difficult for us based on Ben's injury and their lack of depth in that room. But give us your guys' thoughts overall on what our ranking is. So we had it just to quickly run through it. Ravens 1, Steelers 2, Browns 3, and the Bengals 4. This is their quarterback room from top to bottom, AFC North ranking. And then also make sure you subscribe so that way you can see the rest of this series. We'll be breaking down every position group in the AFC North as we get closer to the season. But so make sure you subscribe and leave a like, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
See you.